Abroad Pod.
Hello and Happy New Year. Welcome to the 62nd episode of the Teaching Abroad Pod. I'm your host, Joe, and joining me this week is my co-host, Rowan, from our job placement service.
Hey,
How are you doing today, Rowan?
great. How about you?
I'm doing great as well. So one of the most popular blogs on oxfordseminars.com/blog that we release each year is the annual Top 10 TEFL Markets blog. Is there anything particularly noteworthy this year?
So the biggest change was that Taiwan jumped into the top 10. The private language school market in Taiwan remains very strong with salaries comparable to South Korea, at least at the high end of what you're getting in Taiwan. And we work with some independent schools, a large chain school with branches all over the country, a small chain with branches around the second largest city of Kaohsiung. And in addition to our course graduates, coincidentally, I actually know a few friends and family members, cousins, who worked for them and raved about their experience. That's really one to think about for Kaohsiung. We're especially excited about a very well-regarded organization we're working with that has programs in K-12 schools of Taipei and also Shanghai. But for Taiwan specifically, they're in Taipei, paying very competitive wages as well as a housing allowance, which is a rare benefit for Taiwan. So I'd recommend going back and checking out episode 46 of the pod to hear a teacher's experience of working in that program. And another thing to mention about Taiwan is that it gives special consideration, especially for the Bushiban market, to candidates with a 2-year college diploma or associate's degree and TEFL certification. So it's probably the best paying TEFL market for those without a bachelor's degree who did complete an accredited 2-year program.
So Taiwan's a well-paying market for college diploma holders, but maybe not the best paying market. Where should you go if saving money is the goal?
In that case, I would say hopping over to mainland China is really where it's at. Well-qualified teachers are getting offered up to 30,000 yuan renminbi with free housing and at least partial airfare reimbursement. At the current exchange rate, that means you could be earning over 4,000 US dollars, almost 6,000 Canadian dollars a month, without having to worry about the cost of rent. So, you could be pocketing quite a bit of change as a top teacher in China these days. And there's also just so much to see there, from the Great Wall and historic sites in the north. Like I visited there with my friend in Beijing some years back, which was quite amazing thing to see and experience, down to the modern cities and tropical beaches of the south. There's also easy travel to bucket list type destinations like Bali. So it's definitely a great place to spend a year or even a career if that's in your future.
Okay, so you're really selling China, but some people obviously may be concerned about the geopolitical situation there. What would be the next best options?
Wages at some hagwons in Korea really did go up post-pandemic to entice more teachers to apply, and they haven't really gone down. So South Korea remains a great location to consider for saving money, with salaries going up to 2.5 million, even 3 million won for very well-qualified instructors, along with a free apartment, at least one-way airfare. I would say people living a reasonable lifestyle should be able to save about $1,000 a month. I mean, I was able to do it myself when I was there, so I know it can be done. And on the travel side, I'd recommend a visit to Jeju Island, hiking the national parks, checking out Daecheon Beach on the west coast, and of course the beaches of Busan in the south. So yeah, Korea, I would say, is kind of the tier right below China for saving money. And then right below that is Taiwan, which I already talked about, along with Japan and Vietnam, which is a really up and coming market. Sort of, it's a good time to get in now and really grow with a school, quickly move into those admin or head teacher type positions with higher salaries, or maybe jump over to an international school, which we work with one actually in Vietnam as well. So higher salaries are certainly gettable in Vietnam, as well as just Japan is such a cultural powerhouse that so many people want to go to. So don't expect to be saving what you would be in China, but you can definitely save a bit of money and get to experience that, the home of all of those movies and anime and it's like that people love about Japan.
Cool. And if money's not the focus, but maybe more so on the cultural experience side, what would you suggest?
So Colombia is a really great teaching market to consider if Latin America is your focus. There are jobs at all types of schools with all sorts of salaries and benefits. We work with business English schools for adult professionals, as well as language schools for all ages, and a big agency that places teachers in all types of jobs. In fact, if you go back and look at episode 50, our contact specifically at Minga House explained all about it. So that's a great episode to check out to learn more about the types of jobs you could be getting in Colombia and how to get them. That's more on the Latin America side. If Europe is really, really where you want to go, there's certainly a lot of jobs available in Italy every year at all times of the year. But being an EU country, they really do prefer people who are already in possession of legal working rights in Italy or the EU as a whole. So that's something to keep in mind if you're targeting Italy.
And what about for short term, something like, say, 3 to 6 months?
Actually, I didn't think of this, but one of the chain schools we work with in Italy does take teachers for as little as 6 months. Colombia certainly has many options from volunteer 1 to 3 months in length to business English for 6 months. But the big one that we always like to promote for short term is Thailand. That's why Thailand always makes the list. There are so many K to 12 schools needing English teachers every year, and they offer one-term positions. So you could be starting at the start of the school year in May, just through September, or starting at the second term in October through about March, like a 5-month position. Get some experience living in Thailand, such a beautiful country with all the beaches and flora and fauna and one of the most famous international cuisines probably. After I tried Thai food in Thailand, I started looking for it everywhere back home. So it's so good. But the wages don't really make it a place to save money. But it is enough to live uncomfortably in Thailand, and you could certainly hop over to another country for your next contract to make a little more money or back home to see your family or whatever. So that's a great short-term option. We also have contacts with volunteer or semi-volunteer positions, 3 to 4 months in length, Costa Rica and Mexico, respectively, which kind of rounded out the top 10 in the blog. Oh, and I should also mention paid 6-month opportunities in Costa Rica, kind of comparable to Colombia, the higher end of wages for Latin America, at least.
That's awesome. Well, thanks, Ron, for highlighting those interesting options. That was very cool. And I can't wait to go through the details in the blog.
You are most welcome, as always. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in to the Teaching Abroad pod. We're aiming to release new episodes monthly for the foreseeable future. If you enjoyed this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe and share it with your friends. Remember, you can find us on YouTube, Spotify, and your podcasting app of choice. If you have any great ideas you'd like to hear about in upcoming episodes, tell us on Instagram or email teachingabroadpod@oxfordseminars.com. Thanks for listening.